Well, I can't say much about the bifurcation of the state. That has had a long history, and so whatever it is, rightly or wrongly, the divisiveness or the differences of opinion between different parts has had a very long history, and I think somehow towards 2013 various things moved and the people were all being pushed. And I think accepting the UPA government and the Telangana Rashtra Samiti, the other political parties were quite happy to let things unfold on their own. Cynical as it may sound, they somehow felt that this was not going to be a very happy arrangement, and they may as well keep out of it and wait for the consequences to unfold. But I think from a different point of view, Andhra state, even when it was a part of the composite Madras presidency, has been a reasonably well-endowed state. And I think to some extent the British also realized the advantages, and they did whatever they could to help in irrigation and transport so that they could get their revenue out of it. And the second point is that Andhra is one of those states which right from the beginning has had a well-distributed pattern of urbanization, a reasonable network. I won't say network, a reasonable number of decent towns and cities and so on and so forth. Not very different, I would say, to sort of Tamil Nadu. It's not a Bihar kind of a scene, that after Patna it's Darbhanga and nothing else, you see, sort of a thing. I think that particular aspect has not really been understood except by academics and scholars. So, I mean, history, the course of history is such that all partitions, whether it is of a country or they are all irrational, and they are invariably done in a hurry. And whether it is the division of India and Pakistan, or whether it is your Warsaw Pact or Second World War or whatever it is, divisions have rarely been thought out. And therefore I think the bifurcation of Andhra also, in my humble opinion, it's very much par to the course. And I think the Sri Krishna committee did spend a great deal of time in giving the background and so on. And they tried also to give some more time, but somehow, the patience that is needed, and and more importantly, I don't think there was much of a dialogue, either because they were not quite sure where the dialogue would lead them and what their own stand would be. So in a way, I would say that the various announcements made from time to time, saying, okay, we shall divide, and this is what we are going to do. In a way, I mean, okay, as I said, that irrespective of the plus and minus points in the long term, the process of it still smacked of some, hurry and ad hocery and thoughtlessness. Well, the capital itself, I mean, there was this fight about Hyderabad, and the Telangana people said that we will not part with Hyderabad. Sri Krishna committee did suggest one or two alternatives, but since Hyderabad had to go, there had to be another capital. It's as simple as that. Where on earth that capital should be? One could have said, listen, okay, for 10 years you have this temporary capital. In the meantime, let a political government come and let them take a decision. That could have been an alternative. Now, in the case of Chandigarh, when it was decided that Haryana and Punjab, will have they really did not push the decision whether it should go to Haryana or whether it should go to Punjab. Except that Chandigarh itself is a very well endowed city and looked after by the government of India with a lot of money and very comfortable. So both Haryana and Punjab have now come into a situation where they say, it's so comfortable to have a capital provided by the government of India and looked after by the government of India. But for pro forma's sake, 3 days a week we will say it's ours. 3 days in the week you say it's yours, but we will carry on. So the new capital for Haryana, is not an issue. So these people could have decided that, but then they did not take the decision. We need to have a capital. What's the way? Okay, let's have a committee. Because in the past also there have been some committees. So they said, okay, committee. And then I suppose the Home Ministry said, let's get hold of some professional people, who are sort of non-political and who have a long track record of their views not being accepted by anybody. And therefore, their neutrality is established. And so let's have that particular committee. I personally feel that, excepting myself, the other four are very high quality professionals in their fields. And you could not get, a better lot. So the committee came into existence. And so we wondered, how the hell are we going to do this within a limited time? But then they said, if it took only 4 days for Ratcliffe to divide India and Pakistan, you got, 2.5 months, I say. A lot of time. So don't worry about it. So we said, let's give it a shot. But I think all of us saw in this a very, very good learning opportunity. And I think the way we looked at it, the way we considered the overall picture of Andhra and what its resources are, what its plus points, what is its resource endowment, what is the political background. I, for one, though I have worked for the government for 45 years, and though Andhra was my neighboring state, and I did not really know. So for me, it's been a great learning opportunity. So it may sound cynical. If you really want to understand a state properly, you take a decision to divide it. And then go about studying it, very, very, very carefully. A great learning opportunity. And I think also because these people went around, the committee went around, and I had to keep myself back. But then I think they covered a lot of ground. And out of 13 districts, they visited 11 districts. which I dare say is perhaps much more than many politicians of Andhra, would have done. So I think it's been a great learning opportunity as far as the committee is concerned, whatever, the other outcome. The dynamics between the center and the state was not an issue because the committee was set up when the two states had not formally come into existence. So there was nobody to engage in dynamics. And number two, the government of India did not have anyone to clear the composition of the committee. And so number three is the terms of reference were decided by the government of India. They did not ask the members of the committee and they did not talk to anyone else. And the center states section in the Home Ministry must have looked at some previous records and sort of they just put out the terms of reference. And so really there was no need to engage in that kind of dynamics as normally they do. At any rate, it's a long tradition in Government of India, excepting the Finance Commission, which has some very specific substantive terms of reference. Every other committee has always been given a certain flexibility. And the last line will always be any other matter that is relevant. So I don't think that that was an issue. The members of the committee, I think there was a broad, they definitely wanted a town planner, and therefore K.T. Ravindra was very senior and widely respected. They wanted someone who would do a fairly good analysis of development issues and particularly in the context of urban growth and so on. And since Arumar had distinguished himself in this work in various ways, and since he had the analytical resources, so he was a choice. And then when it came to finance, since Ratin Roy's National Institute of Public Finance and Policy, it's highly credible and therefore the finance ministry. So that was an obvious choice. And the National Institute of Urban Affairs is a Government of India organization. So there have been no objections whatsoever to any member of the committee. There was a lot of expectation, at least from the civil society, that even if these fellows don't produce a solution, they will do a jolly good analysis of the problem. So I think that was, the previous committees, I don't know, there have been, various committees, and one has to go a long way back to find out how many committees have gone into this. Well, we had a couple of initial meetings with the Home Ministry, and they said, we have set up this committee. We are no wiser than, you fellows are. So good luck to you. And, they said that as far as your meetings in Delhi and all that concerned, we will facilitate that. And when you go to Andhra, you'll be treated as guests of the government. So you don't have to worry about that. And none of us were really interested, in getting anything else from the Government of India in terms of, fees or anything like that. And okay, we took it right from the beginning. We agreed that that is an honorary job. We were interested in it. We knew it was a learning opportunity. So let's give it a try and see what happens. One thing that happened was, soon after the committee was set up, the elections were also announced. And because the elections were announced, we were told that you better not go into Andhra. Because wherever you go, the land prices are going to go up in that particular area. So your footfall will have financial consequences. And then there will be political interpretations. So you have to wait till the election results are announced, which is the 18th of a particular month. I don't remember the dates. So that cut down the period available to us further. So whatever data we could get otherwise, we managed to get. And much of the data we had to get from websites and published information and various other kinds of reports. The Andhra government, as and when it was established, we had to push and get some data relating to the government. So we had to scout for our own data. And we managed as much as necessary for our data. The other thing was that as part of the AP Reorganization Act, the Government of India had announced some special projects which would be carried out. Whether it is, the Vizag-Chennai corridor, the gas, the proposed railway lines, various special institutions to be set up by the Government of India, things like this. So using some of these projects as opportunities, I think we managed to get. One very important thing that happened was that though the NDA government did not have a hand in setting up this committee, I must say some of the ministers of the NDA government were quite prepared to meet with us, and I think that was very good. Mr. Venkaiah Naidu in particular, as a senior minister and as a parliamentary affairs minister, sent word around saying these 5 wise men are roaming around, so please allow them access and please spend time with them and share your views on the projects your ministry has and what your own views are. So we met Sadanand Gowda, we met Mr. Pradhan, the energy minister. We had a very good meeting with Nirmala Sitharaman, and we also had a couple of meetings with Venkaiah Naidu and later with some of the officials as well. That I think was very useful in providing the perspective. And they all said, now listen, we want whatever we can do within the limits of resources, within the limits of possibilities, we would like to help. But we have to be even-handed between Andhra and Telangana. And so the various projects, whatever is necessary. And in the process, your own examination will bring in some additional information about these projects. Share that with us. I think that was a very constructive, short period, intensive consultation. We had some internal meetings. And then, of course, the team went to various people, and you have information about the consultations, about the open meetings, and so on and so forth. In matters of this kind, you cannot expect that there will be very orderly, well orchestrated, properly monitored kind of discussion. Bound to be some openness, some noise. So the noise factor was there, but by and large, I think the members of the committee were not ruffled by it, and they were able to take it in their stride. You see, one of the things we felt was, we felt that this particular concept of a Rajdhani is itself a historical legacy. You used to thinking in terms of Raja, and therefore you have to have a Rajdhani, and you have to have all the honchos, around the Raja. We felt in contemporary world, this kind of a single concentration of governmental, institutions and functions are not really necessary. And if you look in the world, okay, there may be 2 or 3 important functions, and historically they have developed, in one particular location. So we said, why not we plant the idea? Do you really need a single capital city? And right from the beginning, there was this feeling saying we want a world-class city, we want a super city, we want a mega city. Anyway, whatever it is, it should look like Hong Kong and Singapore. And so we said, this kind of a thing is a mug's game. And the cities around the world, whether it is Chandigarh or Brasilia or, Navi Mumbai or whatever it is, they have taken a long time to build. And where are you going to get all the land and assemble all that? So, right from the beginning we said, the idea of putting everything in one particular location in contemporary world is not necessary. We also felt that Andhra, more than any other state, had shown some way long ago when Chandrababu Naidu was Chief Minister of overcoming distance as far as governmental communication is concerned. No reason why, that should not be carried forward. So I think from that point of view, we felt let's plant one idea, that you don't need a single capital. The idea following from that was, why not you distribute the capital functions? After all, Andhra has had in recent years a certain divisive background, and there would be some kind of expectation, coastal Andhra, Middle Andhra, Telangana, this, that, whatnot. And also it makes sense. Government babus, we had said it right from the beginning, government babus do not contribute to employment. Their own numbers are limited. The most serious problem of development which would be facing Andhra, as in the case of Telangana, is really employment. And 2 years, 3 years hence, you have to have jobs, 2 lakh jobs, 2.5 lakh jobs. Where are they going to come from? That's where the efforts must be. And what are your growth possibilities? Coastal Andhra, the Vizag area, gas may be available, the industrial corridor may be available, connectivity is there, shipping is there, all along the line. That's an employment. Government officers dealing with those subjects should be proximate to their clients. I mean, if you say if Ongole is known for animal husbandry and cattle, previously the animal husbandry department is located in Hyderabad. Why should the cows of Ongole be grazing in Hyderabad? Locate it where it is needed. Mines and minerals are in Rayalaseema, near about your Anantapur and those areas. Locate them there. So we said it makes sense. That was the second. So it lent itself to a decentralized arrangement. And the third was, we said, nevertheless, a few critical functions have to be got hold of. There are a few iconic functions. The legislature is one, the Chief Minister's Secretariat is one, the High Court is one. But we also did not believe that these three people should sit together. There are several examples. And so while you can show a visitor, as in the case of Chandigarh, this is our court and that's our legislature and this is the secretariat, and during daytime there is some activity and in the night time there's nothing else. So we said there is no reason why they should be concentrated, but locate some places. And then we said still there are other cities, Vizag will grow, Vijayawada will grow, your Chittor will grow, Anantapur will grow, but they will grow not necessarily just by the location of government offices. They will grow by various investments, private sector, this, that, trade, commerce, etc. Allow time for those forces to be prominent. And we said that if that is the case, and then it came to fairly early, it sort of became clear to us that Naidu and some of the Andhra politicians felt that moksha would be available only through Vijayawada. And I even raised this particular question. I said, Naidu Garu, you think your moksha lies in Vijayawada? He said, no, my moksha will be, in Simachalam and Kalahasti and all that. I am not saying that, but it's very well connected. But I said also our terms of reference has said, as far as possible, do not disturb existing agricultural systems. So for a variety of reasons, the Krishna, Guntur, that whole area had become, the rice bowl, one of the rice bowls of India. And some 55-58% of the people are engaged in agriculture and a lot of small farms. And he said, leave that alone. If you want a few offices, go a little bit north of Vijayawada. And so we made that. So I think it was not difficult for the committee to agree on some of these principles. We also suggested it is going to cost you a lot of money. And if you are going to spend too much money on land acquisition, you are not going to have much money left, as far as the other activities are concerned. Conserve your resources, concentrate on the path of development, move very quickly, establish your bona fides among the various regions of Andhra. And we also told Naidu, quite a few times our committee repeated, do not put all your eggs in the same basket. And these are precisely the words. We said, this is what you did in Hyderabad. Now somebody else has broken all the eggs, made an omelette out of it, and you are left. So Naidu said, well, all right, at least, if TSR has the omelette, doesn't matter. But I will build more megacities. I will build this, I will build that. So his ambition has been boundless. And I don't doubt his vision, and I don't doubt his enormous energy, all that. So this was broadly the thing. Then we also felt that whatever may be the terms of reference given by the Home Ministry, it is the prerogative of the state government to decide. We cannot dictate to a state government that this is where your capital will be. So we made it clear from the beginning. We are not overriding your jurisdiction. We do not have the right to do so. And even if we do, it will not last. The decision is yours. Our job is to place the alternatives before you and give sufficient information as to why we are suggesting this. It is up to you, to take a decision. We leave it to you because you will have to face the consequences. You will have to face the financial consequences and you will have to face the political consequences. So I don't think that was much of a problem. We did not feel that, we were ordained by some divine power to confer an award. That was not our job. So we looked at it from that point of view. We thought that Andhra provided a valuable opportunity and it lent itself. It was reasonably well connected. And so we said, okay, here is a coastal Andhra, which is a growth area. And the coastal Andhra can go all the way down. And then you can come down to southern Andhra, Nellore, Ongole, all right. Ports, etc. were coming up. We also felt that the Rayalaseema arc, after all the Hyderabad, the Bangalore axis, the highway was going through Kurnool and Anantapur and then coming down to Chittoor. We said this can be a very interesting arc, which we call the Rayalaseema arc. Then we also found that the railways had a very interesting project, that from Kalahasti, they were taking a 300-kilometer railway line all the way beyond Vijayawada to a place called Nadikudi. We felt that this can be a growth spine. A lot of development can take place. So different places were already well connected. They could easily be strengthened. Single lines could be doubled, railway lines could be electrified. They had a fairly good network of roads and so on. They lent themselves to this particular process. Unlike some of the other states, which faced formidable problems of geography and very poor connectivity. So we thought Andhra lent itself to this particular dispersed pattern, and it was not necessary to add to an existing concentration. If I divide the stakeholders in 3 or 4 categories, one is of course the political class. I think today's political perception about urbanization and urban development is, it is essentially real estate. Urbanization means maximizing private accumulation of capital and making as much money as possible, which is dependent on political access and opportunistic alliances. That is the simple, harsh truth. The political class of Andhra is not different. So that is one. So the political class, now I am told, is actively getting into real estate and making the real estate fellows themselves a little bit worried whether they are being squeezed out of space. The second category, I would say, is really government servants. Over a period of time, we have developed a system in this country where every Babu has to have a second rang Babu, the second Babu has to have a third rang Babu, the third fellow will have to have a fourth rang Babu. All these fellows are there. and they don't feel comfortable unless they all hang together. And for them, the distribution of their activities is something that is repugnant. I think students of Indian urbanization and students of India's development should understand that if the British managed to keep a hold on us, it's not because they maintained a glittering capital. They spread their wings. There were residents, there were honchos, and some of you, the other day I came across an exhibition about Africans in India. It's currently an exhibition going on in the Indira Gandhi Center. Abyssinians and Ethiopians, who came in as slaves or army recruits, rose to important positions, during the period in the sultanates and various, other periods. And I came across some place called Zanjir. So where on earth is Zanjir? It seems to be some kind of an island in the Kutch area. And the ruler of that is an Abyssinian. And you find Ethiopians, building citadels and castles. In every one of those places there was a British resident. The collector rode on a horseback or on a bicycle. He went all over. His presence was felt. Whereas now I am afraid in post-independent India, I as a civil servant may be as guilty of this as anyone else. We have a great headquarter mentality. Mantri will not feel happy unless he presses a bell, secretary ko bulao. Secretary presses a bell saying, joint secretary ko bulao. JS presses a bell saying, deputy secretary ko bulao. All these fellows have to be within calling distance. So the governmental officials were not in favor of decentralization. एक कैसे संभव है? File जब चाहिए, whether it is cattle file or mineral file, मुझे फटाफट मिलना चाहिए. And then we have to appear in the court. इधर से कोर्ट जाने के लिए we have got so much time to spend. How is that possible? That stakeholders, were generally not in favor of dispersed or decentralized development. The third set of group holders are really industry. Industry themselves felt, generally encouraged, particularly the Vaisak and other people saying that instead of running every time to some state headquarters, our jobs, will be done here. So this is not a bad thing. But they did not want to jump into the fray, saying too many people are shouting about. Why should we get in? Let's wait for India. The fourth is really the scholars and students and researchers and so on and so forth. I think they generally welcomed, this kind of a dispassionate approach, uninfluenced. I expect in the months and years to come, it's not going to be possible for these various matters to be resolved by a fatwa. It's going to require a lot of skill, a lot of negotiation, importantly, a lot of money. And where they are going to find it, one can only wish them luck. If we had some more time, we could have refined our conclusions. Our language might have been better. Our stapling might have been better. But I think we said what we had to say in essence. And I think there's a lot of material for whosoever it's interested. I mean, the district-wise analysis contains a lot of material. The financial analysis contains a lot of material. Our views on the land pooling contains a lot of material. So whosoever wants, it's available to them. And when they will want it, how they will use it, it's I don't want to predict, on the outcome. Compared to the past, I mean, even parts of the Sri Krishna committee were kept confidential. Here we said right from the beginning, it must be transparent. Put it on the website. So it's there on the Home Ministry's website. All the papers are there. I think this significantly removed, the element of suspicion. I think only when the report was due, as the date was approaching, some political person was inspired to observe that Aromar and myself had bought a lot of land in Andhra. So Aromar and I felt that, such stupid people that we have been, we did not even buy land. So apart from that, nobody has really accused us of an ulterior objective. I would say that, whether it is a division of a state or whether it is relocating something or whether it is changing your district or whatever it is, various other kinds of things, let's be open. I generally feel that there are so many stakeholders that all of them cannot be stupid at the same time. So I think that is an important lesson. But from an urban point of view, I think this decentralized development, that is the way it will happen, whether we like it or not. Whether we do it in a silly, messy fashion, as it has happened in Gurgaon or in some of the other places, the choice is before us. Because as it is, Vijayawada is heavily congested. Its level of services is no good. So by opening it up straight away, you'll have, there are some very important geophysical information that came up. All this is irrelevant.